Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crime and Entertainment. We have here today a very special guest. Please welcome, you got a few nicknames, Harlem Heroin, Ms.Tee. I don't know which one you want to go by, but we're going to go with Ms.Tee. Please,
Yeah.
thank you for coming to Crime and Entertainment.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Now, you've got a very, very interesting story. And I think, like any good story, especially when it's your first time here, you kind of want to start from the beginning. And, I was really taken aback when I'd heard you kind of explain this before. Like, you had a very good upbringing. You weren't exactly hurting for money. A lot of times when people get into the life in the streets, it's because they're trying to get money,
Right.
because they grew up poor. You didn't necessarily have that. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing, and then we'll kind of get into what led you into the game.
Okay, yeah, my upbringing, two parents, Southern mother, Jamaican father. They both worked hard. It was three girls. We never really wanted for anything. I never had hand-me-down clothes, anything. We had food. My house was the house where everybody come eat. Like, what Miss I
Right.
cooked today. That's my mom. So my house was like my parents' apartment was like the safe apartment.
Right.
Had people that ran away from home come stay with. That would mostly be my sister friends, but you know, it was a comfortable place. And education was like, my father was very strict about education. Um, and respect. I grew up with chores and having to, address my mom as and my dad. If he said my name, he'll say Ms.Tee, yes, daddy, or no, daddy. And I had to address it like that. So I grew up strict
Yeah.
and in a big household. So
Now, you said Southern mother. Where was she from?
Alabama.
Alabama. All right. All right. A lot of ties that we'll get into here. A lot of people from the Carolina areas. A lot of people.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
get into that as the story unfolds. But you've got two uncles, White Al and Big Stan, that kind of were they already staples in the game at that time?
they were young. They were teenagers. So it's like kind of so Al definitely was. He was wild and he came up around some known people that was already out there. And he, made his bones and, made his way. And he was who he was. Like, people looked up to him. He was just one of them strong dudes. Like, you either let him in or he gonna let himself in.
Yeah, he's
So,
gonna come in one way or another.
yeah, yeah.
If you don't let
Mhm.
him in, he's gonna come through the door.
Right.
Now, I'm curious, is this post like Frank Lucas and Nicky Barnes era? Is this kind of as that's wrapping up? What era is this we're talking?
Yes, definitely. It was the 80s, early 80s, but post Nicky Barnes, Bumpy, of course, and Luke, Frank Lucas post.
Right. And Frank Matthews as well. A lot of people don't talk enough about Frank Matthews, the one
Nah,
that
but I got a friend that's about to do a story on him,
really.
actually.
Do you think he's still alive?
He may be, but I tell you one thing, it's definitely a intriguing story.
It very
You
much is. And
that he just
people don't,
vanished into thin air.
yeah, people don't focus enough on that story. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. Frank Lucas was Frank Lucas. He done his thing too, and he's got his place in history. But Frank Matthews, I'm always partial to the guys that got away, at least to
yeah,
some extent. And like, you don't really know where he is. I mean, he could very well have been taken out by somebody. But if I had to bet, I think he might have would have got out of Dodge. That's my guess on it.
yeah. I think so too. I think he'll be with like in his 70s or something right now.
Yeah, if he's still living now, I just mean as
Yeah,
far as like getting
right,
taken out by somebody in the game, I think he got
right.
out. I think he got
Yeah,
out
I think he got out. I
because I
think so.
think the story was is the cop that was on him got to him just after he left the bank in Carolina, North Carolina. I think Raleigh, Durham, and then he was never seen again. So we know he had the money to get away.
Yeah. Oh, he had the money. That's
Yeah.
for sure. He had the money.
Now, did they kind of school you to the game? I mean, did you ask to be involved? What drew you to it? I guess is my question.
Well, my Uncle Al, he was selling angel dust. And there was an area in Harlem where a lot of people hustled, everybody hustling at the same time. And then you had the numbers runners around there as well. So, and it wasn't like nobody was fighting for a spot. It was so much money down there, everybody was getting it. But he was down there selling. I was like, I was like, I want to try that, try to hustle. So he gave me some bundles of angel dust. It was called dynamite. And yeah, I just sold those couple of bundles and I was like, oh, okay. And again, it wasn't because I needed the money, but I loved money. I was already at a point where I had already loved dressing and, I dressed a little different, when I was a young girl. It wasn't just jeans and sneakers for me. I loved silk suits, polyester shirts. And I was like 14, 15, 16 years old. So yeah, when I did that, I was like, okay, I like this. I didn't really see the dangers of it too much.
Right.
So I was like, okay, you
You
know,
you like to be swagged out then, even back then.
yeah,
Now, there's a situation where unfortunately your uncle, and I think it was in 86, you said Wild Al was shot.
yeah, he was shot and killed. At the time we knew it was probably his partner.
Mm-hmm.
We wasn't too sure, but later on we figured, yeah, he did it, you know, and whatever disagreement they had, it happened. And he was only 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did I hear you say that you think that the alleged shooter that did it like actually sat beside you in church?
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, he did. Actually, and we, all right, him being the shooter, we're not sure, but we know he sent the shooter,
Right.
which is
Maybe
just
he wasn't, he might not
yeah,
have been the trigger man, but he put
yeah,
it in motion.
yeah, yeah. He sat by me in at the church, and I look, and he's crying, and I'm like, I know you ain't. And I told my aunt, no, I said, do my aunt know you here? And he didn't say anything, so I went and asked my aunt. I was like, why you got him here? And she was like, baby, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. God will take care of everything. And I was just like, I'm like, nah, this is like a violation, you know?
So the name that is in your book, you refer to him as Jacob. I've heard a different name, but I'll go with the name
Yeah,
that's in your book.
right. I didn't put his
Um,
real name in there because
right,
he still have a mother. I think he definitely got a son out there. I didn't put his name, but everybody know who it is.
right. And he would actually later on wind up getting shot himself, I think, at a payphone.
Yeah, yep,
Now, without getting into who was behind him getting shot, Jacob did have a younger brother.
right.
Now, I'm curious, like, because obviously he went on a little rampage there and
Oh,
you were
it
almost shot.
wasn't little. It
Well,
wasn't
yeah.
a.
Uh, where does that sit with you now? We'll kind of detail that here in just a second, but I'm curious because you seem like the type of person that you could put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Do you hold that against him, or do you think he's doing what anybody would have done in that situation?
Looking at it now, and when I had wrote the book, I was like, that's how you're supposed to go out.
Right,
His brother was his world,
right.
his everything. Like he looked up to him. And, people don't understand that there's a real thin line when you lose somebody close to you. That's like if somebody's mother dies, that they were real close to a close loved one. And that line is so thin, like, because I felt it later on in my story, how you could literally, excuse me, lose your mind if you lose somebody close to you. And I think that's what happened to him. Like, I didn't even, I could see that to him, life probably wasn't even worth living no more because somebody took his older brother. And he went out. He went on a real rampage trying to gun everybody down who he thought
Mhm.
had something to do with it.
And
And
you almost got shot in one of those, right?
yeah, I was there. I was there when he came looking for my uncle.
He
Um,
was looking for the other uncle.
yeah, because Al had already right. Yeah,
Right.
because this was 4 years later.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
and
he sat on that for a minute.
yeah. He probably came of age,
Yeah.
depending on how old he was when it happened. And he didn't forget. He didn't forget. No. No, I ain't gonna I'm thinking that I'm kind of getting it backwards. Al died in 86 and this happened in 90. So he didn't sit on anything.
Okay.
Because the day that he came to kill my uncle was the same night as his brother's wake was at the funeral home.
Right. That's right. Yeah. He was getting buried that same night. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't wait no time.
Yeah. He ain't sit on nothing then.
So he was out in the streets for some weeks until he, tried to get everybody. got one, two, maybe three people. Yeah.
What was that like? Like you almost getting caught up in that crossfire. Was
Mhm.
that kind of the first experience you had of, this street game is serious?
Yeah, something like that. I would say probably 80. I've seen stuff before, but actually almost getting caught up in the middle or something. I think that was it. Yeah, it was a little scary because they had to, it seems as though, we were just oblivious to what was going on around us. He had to have already seen us because they came around a corner just blasting and yelling, and we was just all caught off guard. And yeah, my uncle took off
Okay.
and
And you
he
made it
survived
out of
them.
that relatively unscathed. You did.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Now, did that deter you in it? Was that any kind of a deterrent, or was it still, part of the game at this point?
It wasn't a deterrent, to be honest with you, but it was scary, but it unfortunately it wasn't a deterrent, and it should have been. But it was isolated, so I know why it was going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you get hooked up with later Lou
Hmm.
and Ronnie Ball,
Well, Ronnie Ball is my cousin. Him
your
and
cousin.
Lou grew up together,
Okay.
so that's how Lou knew my family.
And Leon also. Now I know you've been quoted as saying that you never heard them referred to as the lynch mob, but that's the name that the media kind of gave them.
Yeah, I later on I heard they gave a bus ride calling themselves that. I was like, oh, I guess I wasn't around them at that time. But yeah, it was like the lynch mob. Yeah, but I guess that's what were called, and people know them by that name today. Yeah, my daughter's godfather was, I would say he was the boss of that crew.
And you're referring to Lou.
No, Leon.
Leon. Okay, I'm sorry.
Leon was the boss, and they would consider Lou the enforcer.
Who did you meet first out of that group outside of Ronnie? Because obviously he's being your cousin.
Yeah, yeah, Ronnie. I grew up with Ronnie. He used to babysit me as a baby. I'm trying to. Well, of course, Lou, because I would say him because he was around me when I was a kid, like 5, 6 years old, running around with Ronnie, because he would tell me old stories about my aunt, which was Ronnie's mother. So I would say him, but I think as I got older, me and Leon had got close. As friends, he was dealing with somebody that I knew, and we became close. And then I kind of was reintroduced to Lou
Okay.
when I was around 19.
And then you and Lou started seeing each other, right?
Mhm.
Which one was the guy you met in the apartment building that hit on you in the elevator?
Oh God, that was unique.
Unique. That's right. Okay. He was the music guy.
Yeah, yeah. Mecca
He sounds
Audio.
like an interesting character. Mecca Audio.
Yeah.
That's not Unique Mecca, is it?
Yes.
That's the same guy he's got a YouTube channel?
Yes, that's him.
That's the same guy?
Yep.
I did not put that together to just now. I actually follow his YouTube.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I did not piece that together. That is crazy. I kept hearing Unique, and I'm like, well, a lot of times people would give themselves names and
Hmm.
you might have the same name repetitive, but I didn't put that together till just now. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, how much time did he wind up doing? Because he went to prison for a hot minute, didn't he?
26.
26. Wow.
Yeah, Unique, he did 26 years.
Yeah. So Unique, and that was before Lou. You were with Unique before Lou.
Yes.
How
Hmm.
long were you with Unique?
Probably about a year. So we was just like messing around. I wouldn't say because like that's described in my book, but um he was like we was messing around, but he was messing around with everybody. I was young at the time, so it was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
said he was seeing somebody in the apartment building that he seen you in the elevator.
yeah, that part. And then he moved around the corner, so I won't be disrespectful because I'm not going to nobody, no other woman's house. I'm like,
Right, right, right.
that. And then when he moved around the corner and got an apartment, it's like, okay, cool.
Would
But
you
we
want
were
to?
close. We were close. Him and my little sister. My little sister was like the little sister he never had. Like he loved her. Like took her everywhere. If I remember he had a brand new car, he let her drive it. She crashed it. He said, "Back up," and they got the hell up out of there. He went and bought a new car. Like they was close like that.
And so that music line that he coined, I guess that's his because it's been used in
Yeah.
some TV shows and movies and everything. He gets paid off that.
I think he sued everybody.
That's smart.
Yeah. Yeah, he made that up. I can't lie. He made that up. He
Wow.
made that up in the club.
What
Yep.
was it? What was AO?
Ew. All right.
Now, which one was it? You had one of them's uh I don't know if that would be baby mama or girlfriend. They tried to hit you with a car.
Oh yeah, that was one of Lou kid's mother. Yeah, she was angry about the situation. And yeah, she tried to run me over. She hit a couple
Oh,
of us.
oh boy.
Mhm.
See, that's a whole nother game inside the game right there.
Yeah.
So when you got hooked up with Lou, how long did you guys see each other for?
It was short. It was about a year.
Now, were you doing work with him also, or was it
Oh
just
no, not at all. Mm-mm.
oh,
Mm-mm.
okay.
Yeah. Nope.
Um, there's a movie that I'm sure a lot of people have seen. Uh, great film, although maybe not 100% accurate, which is what we cover a lot here on Crime and Entertainment. But Paid in Full. You
Right.
knew a lot of these guys in this movie, or that were portrayed in this movie, I should say.
And some of the people that played in the movie because they from the hood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think about the? Let's just get your thoughts on the film. Not so much as it being a factual film,
Right,
just
right.
the film. What did you
For
think of the movie?
entertainment purposes, I like it.
Right,
I like it. For entertainment purposes, definitely I like it. It's cool. It's a hood classic.
right.
Right.
Now, from somebody that lived in that area, grew up with those people, knew those people, and we have that a lot because we've had a lot of mob guys on the show. And the biggest thing is like when I talk to them about whether it be Goodfellas, how somebody really was in the movies, that's like, man, he was totally different, totally opposite.
Yeah.
What do you think of it as far as a factual portrayal? Not so much
Um,
a whole nut.
yeah, right. A lot of it wasn't true. And I know there's a lot of guys, they don't like the movie, but I have to, you know, I've worked in film a little bit or TV, and I understand that for entertainment purposes, you have to take out, you have to put in, you have to embellish
Yeah,
to make it entertaining. So it's never going to be exact, you know, unless it's a biopic or something like that.
right.
But and they don't like it. They was like, I can't, oh, they lied. They this. But me, I understand why things are. But of course, yeah, a lot of stuff wasn't factual.
And this was kind of spearheaded by Az.
Yeah, Ace said actually he wrote a movie. It was called Trapped at First.
Right,
They got it from him and changed the name and a couple of things that was in it. Because A is definitely anti kill another human being.
right.
To this day, he just don't understand why a man kills another man. He just can't grasp that concept, even in the game, whether over money, woman, or territory. He just really just does not understand that. Yeah.
Which is smart because I mean, when you run into taking things to the streets and all out war, that's not going to do anything but draw the attention
Yeah.
from law enforcement. Nobody's able to make money. So
Absolutely.
it's smart. You have to be able to, but not everybody can pull that off because you still have to wield the authority and know that it can be done, but at the
Right.
same time, don't abuse that authority. So that's a
Because it don't mix. Because
right.
once you bring murder into the game, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna last.
Yeah. And it's got Noble Wood, who was good in there, Mackay Pfeiffer, Cameron is in there. He portrays the guy that's kind of the basis of Alpo.
Yeah.
Mackay, I think, is going for Rich Porter. And
Hmm.
that's a very interesting guy. I done while I was in doing research with you, I read up on a lot about him. And that
Cool.
was kind of Rich Porter.
Okay.
Uh that was like a huge turning point in the game when his little brother was kidnapped.
And I remember I could picture the front of the Daily News right now, and that was like, wow. The first I think that probably was the first time, we saw something like that. And they snatched a kid, and I think I don't know if they played the recording on the news, where he said, they cut my finger off or whatever. I'm not sure if they played it, but we all heard that the finger was left at the McDonald's that many of us went to. You
Right.
know, it was, yeah, it was sad. It's like they changed the game with that one. It's like it's just some things you don't do. And
Right.
then to come later to find out it was his own uncle and the preacher crew, it's like, you know, ooh, it's terrible.
And
Terrible.
was it known that they were holding him for ransom? Was that publicized at that time?
Um, that I don't know if it was publicized, but that's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
that they wanted it. I didn't know.
No, I think it was known because I think, them doing what they did and having the little boy call, it was like, they wanted something. So yeah,
And what they wanted was, I think, $500,000.
yeah,
And obviously, that's not something with what's going on in their lives that you can't really go to the police and involve them with it. So what he did is he went to Fritz Simmons, and Fritz was the one that fronted. And you tell me if I'm wrong now. That I'm going to use the term allegedly in front of everything because I don't know. That's why I got people like you on the show that do know, or at least is close to it. Fritz fronted him some money to help him get or raise the money to get his brother back. Is that how it happened?
yeah. Fritz and my daughter father Ace, because they were partners.
Right.
Ace said they met with him first on like 96th Street on the east side, talked about it, and then Fritz gave him 30 keys of cocaine plus some cash because he told him once you get him back, you're not going to be able to hustle again
Yeah.
because they're going to be on you because they're going to wonder why you, and they're going to be looking into everything.
Well, not
And
that he'll be opening up for somebody else to do it again. Because once you pay that ransom one time,
yeah,
that's why the United States say they never negotiate with terrorists. Because once you give up that ransom one time, you open your door to be a reoccurring target.
right. So yeah, Fritz, they gave it to him, and yeah, because he had it, and Fritz was a good guy. He was a good guy, and he would help anybody. So he had the keys to give up, and it wasn't, nothing. Yep.
So, was he able to raise it?
Raise what?
Money. Was he able to get the money together?
Well, I think he ended up getting killed, right? Within all, it was a short period of time.
Yeah, I knew his brother did wind up getting killed. The one they kidnapped got killed. I never could find out if he was actually able to raise the money and pay it, and they killed him anyway. I never could find that in anything I was researching.
Right. Well, what I try to tell people is that, because people argue that, oh, if Alpo wanted to kill Rich, he would have got his brother back. But that's not so because Darnell knew his captors, because he was outside. I remember seeing him outside with his little friend, so I'm sure he went with them willingly, not knowing what was going to happen. So they were never going to give him back, unfortunately, because he knew who they were. They didn't think that through. His uncle, the preacher crew, they just didn't think that through. Number one, it shouldn't have happened because you do that to your sister's son. That's crazy. But they didn't think it through, and I don't think once you cut his finger off, it's like you gonna still send him back home.
Ain't no going back after that. You fully invested.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah.
And you actually got a phone call after Rich was found dead. You got a threatening phone call threatening you, thinking that you might have had a part in that.
Well, not me, Lou.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
but they threatened your life.
yeah, 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 yeah. His name's ringing bells out there. And I got a call and they said, yeah, bitch, we know he did it. They gonna find you in the river. And I was like, me? Get him. Shit. So, he came in the house one day. I'm like, yo, you gotta go up to 7th Avenue and straighten this business out. That's where A and all of them was from. So he went up there and came right back. So I guess, if he say it's straightened out, it's straightened out. But yeah, the people was making it because it's so crazy that he was doing what he was doing, but it's like every time you turn around, his name was in every, attached. They was trying to attach his name to everything.
Right.
I'm like, I knew he didn't do that. That's a fact. So
Um, Was Fritz kind of like the top of the food chain at this point in time, or one of the top guys?
Yes, definitely. He was considered probably one of the richest men in Harlem at that uh, in that time, that era.
Was
Now,
Alpo and all those guys getting stuff from Fritz?
um, at some point, I would say this, either directly or indirectly, it most likely came from him.
Right.
Because I might get from Fritz and then I'm doing, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
So
Or
so
whoever.
Fritz could be supplying you, but then you're my supplier. So without me
Yeah,
knowing, I'm still getting it from Fritz. I'm just using you as a go-between.
absolutely. So yeah, yep,
Okay. And the thing when I was reading it about him, like Fritz's crew was relatively small. I mean, like there was only a few guys, Charles Chucky Kane, Ace. I mean, he kept a tight circle.
yeah, yeah. But if he had to make a call to them Colombians,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's okay to have a small circle when you got that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you got the reach if you need it. And
Right.
and that's I mean, he's an interesting dude too. I mean, and we'll talk. I think there was in 92, it said Chucky, who the guy we referred to earlier, Chucky Kane, was kidnapped by the Wild Cowboys.
Well, it's alleged that they are the ones who probably killed him because
Right.
he got killed in 92. Yeah.
And then
Um,
did it kidnap Fritz as well? Because I think he escaped an attempted kidnapping.
yeah, he had a couple of attempted kidnappings, but yeah, he escaped. Yep.
What was his personality like? What was Fritz's personality like?
Very mild mannered. Um, you wouldn't know he had the money he had if you walked past him in the street. Just like Ace, they kept that low profile. It was just so crazy. You know, you expect to see somebody dressed nice, maybe a couple of jewels and well manicured. Nothing like that. He jeans, t-shirt, sitting on a crate. You know, Ace, he's from the island, so he ain't into all that. But you know, what he did like with his bikes and his cars. So he loved nice motorcycle. And you know, when you in the game like that all that other extra stuff is unnecessary.
Yeah.
You don't want to bring, and he used to tell people you don't need to bring that attention to yourself. He used to try to teach people that, but everybody, want to show that I am a boss or whatever. But that's just going to bring attention to you.
Rich flossed a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They were like him and A&M, I guess, they like cars and dressing and stuff like that. And, when you come from humble beginnings, like very, very humble beginnings, it's like, and then you get some money, it's like, okay, I want to feel good and I want to look good, so I kind of understand,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, you risking your life, you putting the work in. It's like to some people, as crazy as it sounds, they might even know they're drawing attention from law enforcement, but it's like I worked this hard to get it. I'm gonna enjoy it because I might be killed tomorrow.
right, right. And catch me if you can.
Yeah. And Fritz actually was from my neck of the woods. I live in Charleston now. And
Okay.
so he come from Charleston, as
Yeah.
well as I think Bumpy Johnson done also. He come from Charleston.
A lot of them from back then came from like North Carolina.
Yeah, Frank Lucas, Frank White, all them was from the Carolinas. So a lot of Harlem's heavyweights was from the
Yep.
Carolinas, man. We got deep roots in there in Harlem.
Yep.
And I think what I was researching was Fritz learned under Queen Bee, and that's kind of where he kind of learned the game. She was a nurse turned Queenpin and had him moving like $60,000 worth of heroin a week. I mean, that was how he learned. And then in the middle of that, he hooked up with the Lucchese guys, which had his cartel connect. So that's kind of how he fell into it. To
Yeah.
my research, the best that I could find.
Right, right. I've heard all of that as well. Of course, I wasn't there when
Right.
all happened, but yeah, I've heard that. Yep.
Um. So I guess like my question is to be around him was he someone you said he would kind of coach guys that they didn't need all that, but would he teach them the right way to run the game? Like how was he as a I don't know if you want to classify him as a boss, but how was he as a top level guy? Like did he try to school people to better ways to do business?
Yeah, he would definitely try to, from my understanding, talking to Ace, he would definitely try to school people on how to do business. You know, the most important thing was to keep the police away from you,
Right.
keep that attention away from you. You know what I'm saying? As well as the bad guys. Because, with his attempted kidnappings and stuff like that, you got to try to stay a step ahead of, the vultures. So yeah. But
But that's,
people do what they want to do.
and that's another reason why we said probably why he kept his circle small, because the more people you let in your circle, the more chance you have to be
Yeah.
infiltrated. And as you know, in the game, I mean, a lot of times it ain't even the enemies you got to keep a closer eye on. It be on friends.
I know that part. Yep. Yeah, I know that.
Fritz was actually the one that introduced you to Ace.
Yeah, because I was hanging out with Fritz's niece, and she was like, "Oh, let's go downtown get some money from my uncle." So we'll just go down to 112th Street. I didn't know who I was around or who I was amongst, But I saw Ace in the house. He would leave. One time he was in the account some money or whatever, or whatever. So then one day Fritz was like, "Somebody like you." I was like, "Yeah, I already know who it is," because I seen him looking at me in the house. But him being from the island, he didn't really dress like you know, a bad boy or, the guys that's hustling with dress. But, we started talking and he was just a real cool dude. And it's like, okay, but I saw his bike. I'm like, okay, that's a nice bike he got. So, yeah, that's how that started.
And you wasn't completely separated from Lou either. You was making power moves from one.
Yeah, I wasn't separated at all yet.
Now, did Lou know? Did these two know about each other?
Well, I did tell Ace, I said, listen, I got a boyfriend, so it's like sex is out the question. But he was so nice. Like, one time I think I was in college and I would come to my mother's house and this big bouquet of red roses on the table. And I've never had that before. I'm a teenager still. And my mother was like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "Oh shoot." So I read the card. And he was really, really nice. He would give me, money, just saying, oh, he was like, I'm so busy, but here, take that. And I would be shopping for me and Lou. I had to throw some stuff in there for him.
Oh,
Just to
hold on,
kind
hold on. We gotta rewind that back just a second. So you taking the money that Ace is giving you, and you going shopping with Lou. Did Lou know where this money was coming
no,
from?
he always thought like either I'm getting money with Stan, he's still thinking that, or my mother, because again, I was always taken care of, My moms, they had, a couple of dollars. So and I always dressed nice. But then he suspected, I was like, listen, I met this guy. Okay. Like I said, he nice, he be giving me money, but I don't do nothing with him. So, he was like, because he was like, yo, where you getting this money from? So I had to tell the truth.
How did that play out? I mean, I mean, I can't imagine he was understanding.
I won't say he was under no, but he wasn't too mad because it's like, I mean, I shared the wealth.
Yeah, yeah, I get that's you bringing something to the table with it. I got
Like, but then our relationship kind of just was going like, and I was moving further away from him, because again, the talk in the street, it was just a lot going on. And I was slowly moving away from that. And then, Ace was right there. So I was like, okay, and that's just how that happened. Yeah.
um now Ace, does he gets pinched on a murder charge?
Yes. That
He
to
didn't
this,
even do.
nope.
Isn't that crazy how like someone like can lead a life and do things, whatever. The game is the game.
Mhm.
But then you get hemmed up and put away for something that you really didn't even do.
It's so crazy because yesterday, two guys got out. One did 29 years and one did 25 on the news up here in New York City. They both were exonerated.
I seen that. I seen that
Yeah.
yesterday
See, it's like it happens. It happens
all the time.
over time. So, and I mean, Ace got out 2014, and we still working on his case because at the end of the day, I still want him to be exonerated. Because he's deported in Barbados.
Mhm.
So, I paid an investigator last year to start working on his case.
You need to talk to down there? Oscar Michelin. You know who Oscar Michelin is?
Mm-mm. But you can send me his information.
I will send you his information. He is high up the chain, and I interviewed a guy last year. Matter of fact, around this time, it was right around Christmas time. Andre Brown, he was from the Bronx. He
Mm.
got 22 years in prison that for a double attempted murder that he didn't even do. He wasn't even the guy there. And
Wow.
last December was the first December he had went home in 25 years, or
Wow.
22 or 25. I can't remember. Either way, it's still a long damn time for something you didn't do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that was the first Christmas he was able to spend with his family. And
Mm.
Oscar helped get him out with the help of a guy named Jeffrey Deskovic, who was also from New York, that did 16 years in prison for a rape and murder of a classmate that he didn't do. And when Jeff got out, he actually became a lawyer and started trying to help people get out of jail. And Andre was one of the first people that his firm, along with Oscar, was able to help get out of jail. So I'll give you his information to maybe you can link up and try
Okay.
something with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah,
People don't know how often that happens because they're not directly affected by it. Once they
mm,
get affected by it, then they'll become a serious advocate for it. But it's just one of those things that people don't think about until it's happening to them or one of their loved ones. Um,
right.
so what did they give him? Did they give him life?
He got 20 to life.
Okay.
Mm.
Um,
But he did 23.
at 23.
Hmm.
Now, I want to talk about Fritz for a minute. Like, there's a lot of mystery around his death. There's alleged that he was poisoned or that his blood may have been tainted because he had a blood transfusion, right?
Right.
And I mean, I don't know how much you can say or how much you want to say, but that's happened before. There was a mobster from the Colombos that got a blood transfusion. He contracted AIDS because he refused to take blood from the hospital. He wanted
Mm.
blood from one of his own people. The guy
Right.
was a bodybuilder. Come to find out, that guy was sharing needles, doing steroids with other bodybuilders,
Wow.
had AIDS. So when he got the virus, when he got the blood transfusion from him, he then contracted AIDS, which, obviously he didn't make it, but when he found out he had it, he just went on a damn tear and was killing up everybody because he knew he was going to die anyway.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, Greg
Very
Scarpa's his name.
impressive.
Yeah, look up Greg Scarpa. They called him the Grim Reaper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he would be one of these guys to where if he wanted to do a hit, he wouldn't send nobody to do it. He would go with you and do it. He wanted to be.
Uh, wow.
Is to the
Well,
best of your knowledge, is that's kind of what's the rumor mill is that he was kind of poisoned.
yeah, that's what I heard.
How was that taken by the city when he died? Because I mean, he was a major player. What was the landscape there when he passed away?
Well, it probably messed up a whole investigation because, from my understanding, I think they were looking at him and
Right.
some others. So, once that happened, it just, the investigation just went to shit. So,
Yeah. Now,
yeah,
were you pregnant when he passed away?
I was having my daughter that August, and he had his funeral. Everybody went down south, but I couldn't go down south because I was in the hospital having my daughter. But his wife, I saw her on 112th one day, and she showed me some pictures of him in the coffin or whatever. And she showed me, they had like a little silver plaque in, that sits in a
Yeah.
casket, and it
And
said, "The world was mine, and I shared." And I thought that was so dope, and it was just so true of who he was. But yeah, yeah.
Now, while you're also were you pregnant or had you already had your baby when you got robbed?
No, I was pregnant, and this was even before Fritz passed away.
Okay, so and you are pretty sure that your brother-in-law.
Oh, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about that situation.
Yeah, well, when Ace got locked up in February of 91, he left his whole business to me. And I was basically just running everything, in charge of picking up money because he had a lot of money on the street. Um, he left some keys of cocaine. Um, and I basically was left with a ledger of who he sold to, who owed money, so I had names, beeper numbers, and stuff like that. So I could know who to pick up from. And then he had his little workers that, would come back and forth. So we had like one, two, three apartments. I had moved into a bigger apartment, So that when he came home, because it had another bedroom for the baby. But I was doing business out of my mom's apartment because I was pregnant. I was a little sickly, and Fritz had told me to buy a safe. So I put it there. And he was like, listen, buy a safe. Whatever I do over here, I'm going to give you what Ace would have got if he was here. He was a really, really good guy, really good friend. He loved Ace. And he still was, even though I was doing what I was doing and Ace had his money, he still was willing to share whatever he was getting. So yeah, I bought the safe, and one day my brother-in-law came to the house, Ace's brother, to get some money or something for their father. And I was there by myself. My little sister was outside. My mom was at work. My dad probably was in Jamaica at the time. So nobody was there. And he came, he got the money, he left. Now it's like, if you're going to do it, I said, he didn't even do it right. You leave, and then you got people knocking on the door like 2 minutes after you leave. Come on, bro. So I said, who? And the girl said, Tanya. She called my name. I thought it was my sister, and I just opened up the door because I had told her, you need to come upstairs. At a certain time, she was what, maybe 15 at the time or something like that. So two men and a woman with ski masks on come in, push me to the floor. I'm knocking the guns away from my head because I don't want them to go off.
Yeah.
I'm in a bra and panties, belly out to here. And they said, take us to the safe. Right then and there, I knew I was set up because not too many people know I had a safe.
Right.
So I was like, okay. I'm like, okay. So we walk to the back room, and the safe is there. I get on my knees, and I'm just thinking, I tell you no lie, Wade, I'm just thinking. I wasn't scared. I could have just been in shock, but I'm just thinking like, I'm like this is really happening. So one guy was like, okay, open up the safe. I'm acting as if I forgot. I knew it. I wasn't nervous or nothing, but I'm trying to act like I'm nervous. I don't know the numbers. And one guy goes, I'm a killer. And then I said, then y'all not getting nothing.
Yeah.
They couldn't take it out of there. It was heavy. Like you literally have to get on your knees and push it to move it. I was like, he talking crazy. I'm not, I'll be a dead rich bitch in here. I'm not giving y'all shit. The girl was like, don't worry, Tanya. Like, she's my friend. And then ease my ring off my finger. I'm like, this bitch is crazy. So then I'm like, she like, don't worry. Like, she my friend. I'm like,
As she's robbing you, don't worry. Just give
right.
it.
And then easing the ring off. So I was like, he talking crazy. So, I had to play the cards that I was dealt at the time because I said, listen, I told them, I said, y'all can have everything, just don't hurt me and my baby. That's it. I said, if y'all want to be comfortable, I don't think I said that, but I said, if y'all want to, y'all can tie me up because I wanted them to feel as comfortable as possible and don't hurt me or kill me. So some people like, nah, that you took a chance doing that. It's like, yeah, I did, but I ain't have no other play.
Yeah.
So the guy, same silly guy, says, all right, well, get in the bed and put the pillow on your head. I said, well, I'm not doing it. I
Yeah.
said, hell no, I'm not putting no pillow on my head. So he ripped the telephone cord out, tied me up or whatever. I'm sitting on the bed watching them. They go through the safe. They took a bunch of jewelry off the dresser, dumped everything into some bag or whatever, and they got on out of there. And the crazy thing is, like I said, I told my little sister be upstairs at a certain time. The universe must have been working for me that day because she was at the elevator when she heard the door slam, talking to someone. Our hallway's alone. It's a 20-story building. She looked behind a corner and she didn't see anything. So by the time I got myself together, I opened up the door to look and she was staying. I said, they just robbed me. Let's go down. Let's take the stairs. And when we got down to the first floor, hoodies and ski masks was in front of the staircase door, and then they went out because we had security in the building.
Right.
And they were gone. But I knew he did it because immediately I went upstairs. I called my mother-in-law. I said, your son just robbed me and he's going to get it.
And but you never found out for sure that he had anything. I mean, I know you know, but like as far as finding out who did it, because you sought revenge after that. You went and seen some people, and
Oh yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
because I wasn't worried. I wasn't even mad at the people that came in because, but for him, they would not have been there.
right.
He sent them there. So he has to get it. To this day, I don't even know who those three people are. They probably be watching me on YouTube and all. I mean, they probably read the book.
And the big thing too is like, I mean, money can be, you can always make more money, jewelry can be replaced, but that
Yeah,
ledger being out there is dangerous because that is implicating a lot of people and basically giving law enforcement a blueprint if they get their hands on it. And not only that, making other people targets because if you look through it, oh, so and so just got the bag. We go in there next. They got it. They got a shopping list of who they can hit after that.
absolutely. But they probably, I guess, obviously, they wasn't that smart. Yeah.
And you went, you tried to get some revenge on that. I think you even said that one of the guys tell you like when they found they was gonna cut her finger off for taking
Yeah.
your ring.
Because at first I spoke to Fritz and he was like, I don't know, something. We were sitting in the car in front of my building and he was ill at the time and he was like, I'm telling you, they from in that building, pointing to my building. I was like, oh, he's talking crazy. I know he's sick. I don't want to hear this shit. I'm like, from my building? No, they're not. It's Ace brother. So he said that, and I'm just like, ugh, okay. When he talk, you listen, and then it's like, all right. So I went and spoke to my daughter's godfather, Leon, and that's when he was like, all right, we're gonna find out who did it. When we find her, we're gonna cut her fingers off. I was like, yes, that's what I want to hear. I need them to hurt. I'm so sorry, may God forgive me, but at the time,
Oh,
I
I
wanted
get
them,
it.
I wanted them to suffer. I wanted them to suffer because I could have lost my baby. I could have had a miscarriage. And it was like music to my ears, like I say. But
There ain't nothing that can make you more mad. So I'd rather somebody beat my ass than steal from me.
yeah,
I mean, just beat my. I'll heal up and everything will be good. If you knock me out, wake me up, we can start again. But when you
yeah,
steal for what I've been worth, regardless of how I got it, that ain't the point. Like
right.
if you steal something from me, like that, just that put a rage on you. Like you just, I mean, I can't even put it into words. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I know that's what
Mhm.
you had to
Oh,
feel.
oh, absolutely. And then it's like you stealing from your brother. Like, why are you so mad? Like, he wasn't even built to run it at
Right.
all. Like, that's not you. You're not built like that. So,
Like
I
you
get
said too,
the
that's one
jealousy.
thing. If that's your thing, if you just a stick up kid and that's your gig, I get it. But now you doing it to your brothers, people,
Right.
family. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
And
messed.
Ace didn't want to believe his brother did it, but once his brother never visited him no more in jail, he was like,
Held it out.
he knew. He
Um,
knew.
you detail a story about a guy named 50. I feel like every town has somebody named 50, and this was long before 50 Cent. I got a guy named 50 that I grew up with in Darlington. And so I feel like everybody's got a 50 and then they grew up with. But you've got a story with a 50 where you actually get shot yourself. Y'all both get shot.
Yeah.
Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Well, he had a situation with some guys uptown, and 50 from my block. He was like the protector, no nonsense, nobody come over here starting with nobody. He held the block down. He was that guy, cool guy. Me and him was in kindergarten together. So, and he had a situation with some guys uptown. I don't really know what's going on, but I was coming from getting something to eat and I saw him talking to a group of guys, and I just knew in my heart and in my gut that situation is going to go left because 50 wasn't soft, he wasn't a punk. And I knew my daughter godfather knew these guys, so I said, let me try to jump in a cab. But before I could do that, I heard shots. And I saw 50 running towards me with a red circle, center mass, and the look on his face, of course, I'll never forget. And I'm like, and I'm seeing the guys, and I'm looking, and I'm yelling one of the guys' name, like, "What you doing?" But as 50 was coming closer to me, I said, "Let me get out of here," and I turned around and ran. And before I knew it, I was on the ground. I didn't feel anything, but I told my little cousin, I said, "I'm hit." She never seen anything like that. So she just standing there like not moving, not saying a word. 54's in front of me, maybe 2 feet, 3 feet, if that. And all I can imagine was because in the hood, we've seen a lot. I've seen bodies under white sheets, and all I can imagine is me and 50 under white sheets, and my mother got to see me like that. I got a 2.5-year-old upstairs, and her father's away. And everything just flashed in my mind that fast. So I got up and got in a cab and took myself to the hospital. And thank God I did that because I was bleeding internally and my lungs was filling up. As soon as I got there, they cut me and put a chest tube there. So to get the blood out of my lungs, it was like a little suitcase. So I could just watch it filling up. And I got up out of there. Thank God I got up. I didn't wait for an ambulance because I wouldn't be here today.
And they brought in 50 right beside you.
Right beside me. And I saw them split his chest open and massage his heart. And I'm looking at him. They working on me. And he didn't make it.
Bad situation. And
Yeah.
and you get real emotional in the bio that's on YouTube
Yeah.
about you when you talk. You credit them for that hospital for saving your life. You say you wouldn't go to them for much of nothing else, but they saved your life.
Yeah. I mean, Harlem was good for gunshot wounds. They was known for, trauma. But yeah, I wouldn't go to them for too much of that else, not even today. But I am so glad they saved my life. They got right to it. They got right to it. Right to it. In no time, I was upstairs in my hospital room looking at everything on TV. They got the flares in the street. They got the little yellow things. They got everything taped off. And boom, I see my sister or my friend in front of the hospital with the uh 11 mic in front of them. I'm watching all this. It's like, wow, it was crazy.
Um,
Yeah.
Now you had somebody visit you in jail because this was a big deal. You getting shot. I mean, you're still a very known person in the streets. Like this is not like just a bystander here. What was?
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
think there was going to be a fallout? Did you again want somebody's head on a platter for this? What was your thinking?
It was at the time because I knew who did it. And although I knew these people, I was still saying, don't put my name downstairs. I don't want nobody to know what room I'm in because I'm still a little nervous. I don't know how they gonna move
Yeah,
or how they
they might
feel.
want to finish the job.
How they feel about me. I just didn't know.
Right.
So in the middle, I don't know, it could have been maybe the next night. No, it could have been the same night. My daughter's godfather comes in the room with a white hospital coat on, pushing a car. I'm like, the fuck? He like, yo, T. Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to, they could have came in here and smothered me to death or something. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. How did you get in here? But he just came up there to say, listen, I already wasn't going to talk or say anything to nobody. Um, but he was like, listen, I'm gonna make sure they take care of you. Don't worry about nothing because they didn't even know I got shot till my little sister went uptown and was screaming on everybody, like, y'all shot my sister. They like, what? T got shot? She said they was shocked. And she was like, yeah. So I guess I'm sure he came that same night. And he was like, don't worry about it. They're gonna take care of you. I'm gonna make sure you're gonna be all right. I was like, mm-mm-mm.
As
The
who's on
hospital
top?
jacket and everything. I'm like, what the hell? It's like a movie.
Well, he had to come. He probably ain't want nobody wanting to know why he was in there. I can see why he did that. Because a
Yeah,
lot of times they might want to take down information of
yeah,
who you
yeah,
are, especially knowing that you got shot. They probably gonna
yeah.
be weary of who's coming up there. So he don't want
Hmm.
to tie his name to being on a visitors list. I get it.
Yeah,
Looking at back at it, I get why he did it. Still
yeah,
probably a little strange, I'm guessing, to see him come
yeah,
with a microscope.
yeah. It was.
Who's on top at this point? Like, who's the guy in the street?
As far as what?
Just being the top guy, like after Fritz. I mean, I'm sure this is after Fritz's passing, right?
Oh, oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
This was 1994. Honestly, after Fritz, the streets got crazy.
Yeah.
it could be nobody who could have taken his place because you didn't have nobody like him. And the person that did take his place, he didn't really do right by the family and make sure everybody was okay. And, of course, he wasn't Fritz. So everybody was scrambling around trying to find work. And then anybody who owed money, everybody was trying to hold on to what they had because they didn't know where their next, thing
Yeah.
was coming from. So it was crazy at the time. It was a lot of stuff going on.
Are you allowed to say who kind of took over for him?
Um, it's some guy downtown. I call him Joe. He
Okay.
got mad. I guess he read the book. Because I was kind of mad. I was like, oh, I want him out of here. I did say
Yeah.
that. I did want him, out of here because I just felt so disrespected that he wouldn't take care of the family. Like,
Right.
but
There's another guy, and we'll wrap it up here soon. There's another guy I wanted to talk with you about, Baby J. Tell us a little bit about who Baby J is, and then we'll kind of get into the whole beef with him and Cardon and Mason and all that.
oh, baby J. That's my brother, man. I met him when he was like 15. He was my little sister's boyfriend. And he was just the cutest and the funniest and charismatic little guy. And he was just out there making a name for himself. And yeah, no nonsense, little a one-man army, even though he had, his little crew or whatever, but he was a good guy. And he ended up um as time went on, making a name for himself in the streets and coming up in the world.
He was running the what, Lincoln Projects.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so there's a situation to where he apparently robs a member of, I guess, a Harlem World.
yeah,
His chain, Cardon.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so he took the chain, and you correct me if I'm wrong now. This is just what I've researched. He takes this guy's chain, not that he really had a beef with Cardon, but apparently Mace had either threw some shade at him on a song, but it was more like, I took it, if you want it, tell Mace to come get it.
Yeah, yeah, that's how it went. Mace don't like when I tell a story, but I mean it's true. I mean it is what it is. But what happened is, Maine was one of supposedly the girl that Maine was with at the time. I think her and Mace had been friends previously,
Right,
and I think Mace went to see her, and Maine just felt a little disrespected by it.
right.
So one day I'm home, I get a call. They like, yo, T, we over here in Gaucho's gym. It's a game. Maine over here wild, and he took somebody's chain. I'm like, oh God. So I go out there. That's like he was like my son. So I go to Gaucho's. He's standing in the middle of the floor, probably weigh 120 pounds. He got a red bandana, red sweatpants. He's a one blood gang member, the only gang member in his little gang. It's like, what's going on? Nah, T, they gonna respect me. He took the guy's chain and he wanted Mace to come and get it. And that's what it was. He was like, now we beefing. Because you disrespecting me, you go see my lady, now, we beefing. And that's what it was. And I think Mace made the song. I don't know if it was, I think it was called Jealous Ones or something. I don't
Right.
know if it was before that or after that, which, made him want to take the chain. But whatever it was, he felt disrespected and he took the chain from Cardone. Yep.
And then apparently, I guess there was a situation where Maine had sliced a guy in the face named Pop Lottie,
Yeah.
allegedly.
Yeah. Yeah. But that didn't have nothing to do with Mace. That was a whole separate thing. But then Pop Lottie and Mace did become cool.
Right.
And it was like, okay, it's us against him.
Right. Do you think Mace sought him out because he needed somebody?
Probably, probably,
Some
because Mace wasn't built like that. He was a cool guy. Me and Mace
right.
was cool. Like we were good friends. Like my sister, he has a twin sister. My sister and his twin sister used to hang out, but when that beef happened, that's when the divide happened.
Well, not everybody's cut from that cloth. I mean,
No,
there.
they're not. They're not. And I'm not mad at Mace for, leaving
Yeah.
and running because Maine have a track record. He has a reputation of, you know, he will hurt you or whatever. So wasn't mad at him. I just felt like you know, a lot of people, like I said in my book, with that whole beef, like a lot of people lost their lives and people didn't know that until I wrote the book.
Yeah, Jermaine put a bounty on a guy, like a $15,000
Oh yeah.
bounty.
Yeah, that one. And that kind of like, oof, I didn't know that. Me and my sister, my mother phone was ringing the very next morning. I'm like, how do everybody know that happened? You know, like that's not how you do that. So I knew because I knew the guy's brother. They grew up in my building,
Mhm.
and he wasn't too right. So I knew he was coming back for revenge. I just knew. I just didn't know when, but I knew it was coming. You know, and it was what March, April, May, June, maybe 3 months after that. It happened the same year, and my brother did, allegedly put that bounty on the guy's head, and he ended up getting killed later on, a
Now,
few
the
months
guy that
later.
took that bounty was that one of the guy's own friends that took that bounty?
Yes, it was. I tell you, boy, money will make people do some crazy things. Like his own friend said, I will take the money and led him into, you
What did
know,
we just say 10 minutes ago? What did we just say? So yeah, I mean, we just said that earlier. It be your own people, your friends, the ones you think are friends, that's gonna, you know, eventually could be the one to put the knife in your back.
I was pissed. I understand that, because but after the whole Mace thing, Maine just started beefing, everybody was trying to jump in, and somebody on Maine's side got shot. So then he felt like, okay, I got to make sure, this guy, I stop this guy because he was relentless too. I know him. He was relentless. He wasn't to be played with either. But it ain't what you do, is kind of like how you do it. And I was kind of pissed off because, with this guy's own friend saying I'll do it, that just probably fueled Maine to be like, okay, then hey, But it's just sad because, they all kind of like lost their lives. And I have to be honest with you, it was really about nothing.
Yeah.
No disrespect. I myself, sometimes I do blame myself for not stepping in when I could have, because me and Mace was cool. We had a relationship, you know, and I should have, but that divide was so crazy. And then I never really saw Mace, you know what I'm saying? But I wish I could have pushed to be like, you know what? I need to see you. Let's just straighten this thing out,
Now,
I,
is this about the time that he retired and became a reverend?
when he left and went to Atlanta, I guess he was forced to retirement, so to
That's what
speak.
I was going to say. This kind
Yeah,
of was the reason why he left.
yeah,
At the end of the day, he didn't.
yes,
It might not have been his. He didn't. He was kind of pushed to it, I guess you'd say. He was
yes,
running out of Harlem. But just say what it was. He
yes,
ran out.
yeah.
Okay. Have you spoken with Mace recently?
No,
Had we?
he was telling people he don't even know me. That's what I heard. I said he don't want to know me now. Okay.
I mean, even recently as a couple of years ago, him and Cameron was still beefing through songs and stuff like that. Supposedly they had patched things up, but then I think that might have just been a ruse because they were still trading shots back and forth via song not too long ago.
Yeah, but they cool now. They got a show together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. What about Cameron? Did you know Cameron?
No, I never met him formally. No.
Because these rappers, when they sing about a lot of that stuff, for people that don't know, like they a lot of times they'll interject real names and stuff in there in real situations.
Mm-hmm.
There
Yeah.
was trying to find it was on a mixtape, I think, and he it was around that whole pop lottie stuff was going on. And he basically the line was something along the lines of I'm moving heroin and Maryland, but that was about the time you became a reverend. So,
Oh wow, that's funny.
yeah, I think it was on the Killer mixtape that Cameron dropped. Yeah, I mean And most people, if you're just a regular listener to that song,
Yeah, you
you
would
don't know
know.
what the hell he's talking about. But if you understand the backstory to all this, then you get it, and it's a little bit funny.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I think him and Jimmy was beefing too, and Jimmy was
yeah.
saying something on some video like, you know why you left? Yeah.
Um, is this about the time you decide, or I think Ace might have told you it might be time for you to get out?
When no, Ace didn't even say he said that. I think when I got shot.
That's a good time to say it too.
Right. When Maine left, that's that was it. I'm like, okay. That's when it hit home. And earlier when I was talking about that thin line, like losing somebody so close, although we was not blood, I literally almost lost my mind. Like I had cut all my hair off. I was just mad at everybody that I thought didn't like him. And if it looked like you had a smirk on your face, I was going in on everybody. I was like, I never felt pain like that in my life. Never. And I was like, that's when okay, it's real.
Yeah.
It really hit home and death is final. And I've seen so many people die before that, coming up in the hood. But when it hit home, it's like, okay, he's never coming back. I'm hurting because I know that's not what he wanted. Now, if he was running around just blazing and I'm ready to die and all, just one of those. But we had a conversation before that. And he was like, sis, I'm tired of these streets. I'm not ready to die. And that is what made me hurt so bad because we had that conversation, not too long before he passed away. And I was like, this is it. I got to find something else to do, just different people to be around. And the streets is just not it's not fun no more. Hustling, nothing. It's just, I'm over.
So
Yeah.
you get out. Would you move to Atlanta?
Yeah, I took my daughter to Atlanta, Georgia, and it was good. That was like one of the best decisions I made, especially for her because she's doing so good, you know. And that was what 17 years ago. Yep.
And do you think if you hadn't had your daughter that you'd have left?
If I'm not sure. Yeah, had that happened and I didn't have my daughter, I really don't know what, because she definitely was the driving force
Right.
for a lot of good decisions that I had to make after that, So
A lot
yeah,
of times, if you don't have that person you do something for, then we do
yeah,
it for ourselves. And as
yeah,
crazy as it sounds, it's hard to leave whatever the lifestyle may be. I'm not
yeah,
just
absolutely.
classifying it as is your situation, but I mean, if someone is, a dancer, someone's into drug, whatever the case may be, it's hard to up and leave a lifestyle that you've led and been involved with, especially to the depths of which you were for so many years, to just up and leave it. Like that in and of itself is an addiction to a certain point.
Yep, it really is.
Yeah.
Because
Did
I
you
was
go through that?
not really. No, not really. What I did was I did hustle after that, only to get enough money to leave. Somebody that I had put on, I said, he fronted me something, he actually just gave it to me. And, because most of my money I spent on Ace trial, appeals, basically taking care of him and just living, paying bills, whatever, whatever.
Because he had an expensive lawyer, right?
Yeah, he had two. One of them was very a profile lawyer, which was Mel Sachs, who
Sachs. Yeah.
Mike Tyson had him, Lil Kim had him, everybody had Mel Sachs. And then, I was like, yeah, let me get out of here. And that was it.
When did the idea for your book come into play?
I would say 2000 when I moved to Atlanta, probably about 2006, 7, 2006, 2007. And I was like, I was still going through it 5 years later, 6 years later. And, thinking about Jermaine, I realized that I had a story because other things happened before him. And I just wanted people to understand that this game, the street life, ain't what y'all really think it is. It's a lot that goes on with it. Yeah, you get the man, you get the woman, you get the clothes, you get the money, you get the cars, you get the notoriety, you get the people looking up to you. But behind the scenes, the hurt. I'm getting tied up at 6 months pregnant. I'm 21 years old. Like, do y'all really want that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do
That's
you
what they don't
really?
glamorize.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you don't want that. So, I said, and I didn't write a book for the purpose of making money. I just needed to get it out. And it
Therapy,
was,
therapeutic.
let me tell you something. You really, when you writing it down, it's almost like you almost feel it coming out of you and going right there.
Yeah.
It lifts something off you, and it did. And I was shocked at how popular the book became and how many people, especially when I did the Info Minds documentary on YouTube that you saw, that thing just went, it just a, a life of its own. It just went.
Yeah, that one it was really good. And it broke down a lot of what we talked here today and more in depth. So I encourage everybody to go check that out. I'll put a
Yeah,
link to it in the description and the show notes. So that was your first book. Did you self-publish?
yeah, self-published.
How difficult was that?
Not difficult at all because my husband, who it was a guy that I was with when I was a teenager before Ace, and everybody. And he ended up going to jail for a long time. But while he was in there, his mother ended up moving into Atlanta when I was there. And she was like, B wrote a book. I said, oh, okay. I said, I'm writing one now. So he was already had their book out and published and stuff like that. So me and him started talking again or whatever. And I learned a lot of the business from him. And then we ended up, when I moved back to New York in 2009, we was talking, we got back together, we started, going together again. He was still locked up. So I was helping him with his book. And he got a nice trilogy out, him and his brother. And that's how I learned about the business and self-published.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your first book was Harlem Heroin,
Yeah.
and then you've actually got a few of them out now.
Yeah, I have Harlem Heroin. This is what started it all. Yeah. And after this one, I did snitching.
Mhm.
And it's not about somebody was mad at someone or OG. He was disappointed in someone. He said, Joe, you need to write a book about these snitches, these snitches, these snitches. But I said, let me do my research, talk to people, read some documents on things. And people have to understand that snitching is an opportunity that the government affords to people who want to get out. And that's it. So instead of writing about snitches, I wrote about snitching. The streets are fair game, but the game has never been fair. And that's the honest to God truth.
I love that. I love that quote.
Yeah.
You're trying to be fair to something that's not going to be fair to you.
Never, the streets are undefeated.
Yeah.
So what I did, I wrote it, I put some scenarios in there and real life stories that I got from some people, and even one that I happen to be in myself that, and I'm just like, I had to help somebody with something, and it's like, wow, you just it's never going to stop. And like I tell people, they get mad, but it's most of the people that get mad is the people that got snitched on. And I understand you don't like snitches, but at the end of the day, you have to understand that if the government didn't afford this opportunity, nobody would do it. Everybody would have to do their time, and that's it. But it's just not that way. And yeah,
It's sad to look at it like this, but it's like today, snitching is almost something that is normal, is celebrated. It's, back in that carried a stigma with it at one point in time. Now, you got guys like Tekashi 6ix9ine singing his ass off like Johnny Gill comes out and goes live on Instagram and has got millions of people watching him. Like,
yeah,
which he did get got his ass whooped down there at Planet Fitness not too long ago.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah,
It ain't without its repercussions.
right.
Still, I think, especially in today's time, man, that's almost become norm. And
Yeah.
let's face it, not everybody is cut out to do years, decades in prison. That's just not what
Yeah.
people are
And like
cut out.
I said, everybody don't know how strong they are until it's time to be strong.
Right?
And like you said, you don't know what you cut out to do. And it's just like when you see a paper sitting in front of you that say death row, you like, huh? Like
Oh
you
yeah.
get to see it's like what?
Oh, I didn't see one that said death row, but I seen one that said 25 to life, and that should have put things in perspective real quick.
Yeah. And depending on how old you are, that's like a lifetime. You just don't you like, that seems like forever.
Yeah, you thinking, damn, this is longer than I've been alive already. And people on the internet kill me because everybody's saying they stand up and they're a gangster, they're this and they're that. You don't have a clue what you're gonna be like until you're in that
No,
situation. Like most people don't want to do 30 days in jail, let alone 25, 30 years.
that's a fact. That's a fact, you know?
Yeah.
That's a fact. And
It's,
it's a business. Like I tell people, it's a give and take. You give them something, they give you something. That's a transaction.
mm-hmm.
And I did my research on what and how the federal witness protection um agency, how they take care of people. It's like shit, some people probably made more money from them than they made when they was on the street.
Oh yeah, yeah, they get
Yeah.
paid money, especially you start talking about them busting people and getting involved in drug busts, they make a killing. Um, the documentary we mentioned earlier, that was obviously is very popular on YouTube. Again, we'll have a link for it. Is that when
Mhm.
Netflix seen that? Did they reach out to you from seeing that documentary?
Yep. They saw that. And then a lady called me and she said, well, I'm gonna order the book too. And yeah, so they called and then I didn't hear anything. And then they called again, but the lady that I spoke to, he said she had left, but she must have left some notes or something, or they saw the emails. And yeah, they called me to do that. I think it was maybe 20, I think we taped in like 2019 and it came out January of 2021.
Okay.
And it's so crazy because it was about the crack era of the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And although I was there watching that, it's like, damn, whoo, I'm still seeing the devastation of crack, with some people from 80 something. Like, crack is different. That's a drug that really devastated worse than heroin or cocaine
Yeah.
because I've seen some things and it's like that drug was different. I didn't know at the time because, of course, at that time, that was like 86 when we got the rush. Al had passed away. I had attached myself to my Uncle Stan, and that's what we was doing. And you wondering, what the hell? Why is these people going so crazy? And you just making the money is just coming. You can't even get the product fast enough out, to match the demand. And it was crazy. And watching that film, I was like, ooh. But we cannot let the government go unnoticed
Yeah.
because that Freeway Ricky Ross story. If I don't know if you ever watched Snowfall, one of
Oh
the
yeah.
best series, and that ending, I think that's one of the best endings I ever seen on a series ever. Ever. It's true. They really put it here because I don't know some people. I don't know how old you are, but I remember watching
Oh
Oliver North and them in court saying what they did. They
yeah.
purposely put it here,
I'm
and it's
actually doing a series right now with a guy about all like the false flag operations from the government, the Iran Contra, 9/11, Oklahoma City. And our
yeah,
last episode we're going to have Rick on, and he's going to go into detail about all that because it's, people, I hope nowadays at least people don't believe that the government is squeaky clean as they like to claim themselves to be. They
can't
are
believe that.
they are dirty as hell. And our it's going to be about 10 episodes. It's going to be a
Wow,
whole segment on nothing
that's
but that. And starting out
nice.
with Arkansas when Bill Clinton was still the governor and they killed two kids that stumbled on a drug drop. I mean,
Mm,
it's a lot of stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting that wrapped up. Um,
mm,
and I say this about a lot of people that I interview, but yours even more than most needs to be a movie. Do we have a Ms.Tee movie in the works? It's gotta be.
We are working. There's a network that called my partner inquiring about me, a major network. And we working on some stuff. We doing some writing and stuff now. And some people have asked, but it has to be done the right way because you only really get one time to do it.
All right.
And it's not the money for me. It's just about putting out a good story, you know, not glorifying anything, but just allowing people to understand what it was like back then and some of the things that some of us get caught up in, living in an urban community,
Mhm.
people they see my story, but then they like, she had her mother and her father strict. They expect that everybody came from a broken home, and it's like,
Right.
no, we get caught up. That influence is crazy.
And the
So
money is addicting.
yeah, yeah. And I said that in the Netflix um uh documentary. It's like, you got the addicts that's addicted, and then you got the people that's getting money that's addicted to getting the money. So
Yep.
everybody's addicted.
Yeah, everybody's
But
addicted. Some people are just addicted to the game itself, getting
yeah,
this, moving
yeah,
this, selling
yeah,
this. I mean, there's addictions for everybody.
yeah,
Well, tell everybody where they can find you. You got a lot of social medias, you got a lot of businesses, you got websites, you got your own
yeah.
podcast. Tell everybody where they can go to track you down and give you a follow, and we'll also put that in the show notes as well.
Yeah, but you could get this book, Harlem Heroin. My website is www.shesmistee.com. That's SHESMSTEE.com. Shesmistee.com. My social media, my Facebook and Instagram is Harlem Heroin, all one word, or Heroin. It's a double entendre.
Right.
And yeah, Straight Talk with Ms.Tee is on YouTube. And yeah, y'all can see me. I don't know for who got BET. I'm on American Gangster Trap Queen season 3, episode 5.
Yep, I seen
Yep.
that. You were also recently on Ian Bick
Yeah,
podcast. So
yeah,
making the rounds, man. I think you definitely you gotta get this turned into a movie in some way. And
yeah. I'm looking at a limited series because there's so many people
yeah,
that can kind of have their own backstory to, that I was mixed up with. So yeah, I'm
I
looking.
don't know if you know him or have had contact with him, but right now the guy to go to piece that together might be 50, man. I mean, they can put something
Listen,
together.
if anybody can hook me up with 50, actually, me and 50 have a I can't talk about it right now, but you probably know Eve Rivera, 50's man.
Mhm.
Me and Eve was like this until something happened with business and we're not there no more because the thing was we're gonna do this and then we're gonna move on to your story because 50 know exactly who I am.
Yeah.
He knows me. But I definitely that would be a good look because everything he touched seemed to be turning to gold. So
Oh my God, the Power series right now, like
yeah.
I mean, even the spinoffs, because Power, I guess, is technically
Raising Canaan, I love um what's her name? Patina Miller, whatever her name is.
she's from Pageland, I think. She's from the Carolinas.
Oh, really? She is a beast. Oh my goodness. Like, yeah.
And then
He's
that
doing
he lightning in a bottle with that, man. I mean, because obviously Tommy and Ghost was great, and then he parlayed that into all these different shows. Like the
yeah,
Tommy Force was crazy. That just had its finale. Then the Raising Canaan, then the Power 2 with his son is keeping on going. Like that just shows you his level of genius to take this one thing that's great, don't run
right.
it to the ground, spawn it off, and make 2 or 3 more good things on it.
Yep.
And then you got the
Yeah.
whole BMF thing that he's done. I even like
Yeah.
the series that he did with the lawyer, the guy that became the jailhouse lawyer.
For life, but it didn't last. It didn't last.
No, and I figured it wasn't going to be able to last. Like when you have a story that's already played out, like you kind of have to figure out if you're going to go long term with it. You know,
Right.
I mean, because obviously he's going to get out, and then so you got to figure out how to wrap that up. But
Right.
I mean, the BMFs and everything, and I don't know if he's doing anything with. Do you know Johnny Curry?
Johnny Curry.
Johnny Curry and Leo Curry. They were the Curry brothers from Detroit.
Oh,
They were very big in Detroit. Johnny Curry was married to Mayor Coleman his niece. He was the first black mayor of Detroit.
Oh,
He
okay.
was married to his niece. And so Johnny was a major player, and then he did get busted along with his brother. He done his time. He got out. He didn't rat on nobody. He done it the, I guess you would say, the stand-up way. And now he's doing something with him and his brother. He was involved also with the white boy Rick. Basically, his Johnny's brother was the one that kind of got Rick introduced to the game.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, he's real. He's got a lot of stuff going on too, and that's the cool thing about social media now and podcasts and stuff. People are able to hear the real stories because talking with Johnny, I mean, he hated that White Boy Rick movie because he was like, he said they made that kid out to be a kingpin. He's like, look, I'm not trying to bring race into this, but
Right.
like, how believable is it that a 16-year-old white kid was running things in the hood of Detroit? Like, do you really
Right.
think that's possible?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, what that's just, let's just call facts. That ain't gonna happen.
Right.
But
Right.
that's when, again, when it's out of your hands and Hollywood does it, you don't really have no
Right.
control where to go with it. So if you
Mm-hmm.
have your hands on it, I look forward to seeing a movie you could get together. If you need a white guy for your movie, now you hit me up. I'll be plane right away.
Got you.
I'm gonna let you get out of here. I got one more question, and I just
Uh-huh.
kind of wanted to get your take on it, and I'll leave. You posted a picture a while back, and you got a lot of heat for it. It was Fritz, Alpo, and Baby J.
Yeah.
You had Fritz, you called him the king. You had Alpo, you called him the mayor, and Baby J, you called him the prince. And you got
Yep.
a lot of heat for that shit.
And I ain't care.
And you,
You
and that
already
was my
put that.
point.
Make sure you put that in there. I ain't give a fuck.
It was like, is she gonna take it down? He's like, I ain't
Nope.
taking shit down.
Nah, not at all.
And I like the way, like, everybody wants to say, well, Alpo did this, Alpo did that. And you tell me if I'm wrong. It seems like when you speak on Alpo,
Mm-hmm.
speak on your relationship that you had, and that's really all you can judge somebody on, is the relationship that you have with somebody. Now, what he did to other people and had involvement with, obviously people are going to feel some type of way about that, and that's their right. Again,
Absolutely.
if Alpo killed one of my family members, I wouldn't like him. If he ratted on one of my family members, I wouldn't like him. But that
Right.
don't necessarily mean you had that same experience. And so I
Right.
like that you stick by shit and you stand on it and you speak on your relationship with him. I mean, that don't
Right.
mean that you're co-signing everything that he did.
Right. And it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. One thing I did say to Albert was that I didn't like. You killed Rich when that mother was looking for her baby. So you gave that mother a double dose of heartache. And I told him that time now, him killing Rich, because the same thing that happened to Rich happened to my uncle 3 years prior. You got to charge that to the game.
Yeah.
If y'all want me to mourn, I can mourn my uncle for the rest of my life. I got somebody to mourn that happened to. I can't, whatever happened, the game just brought all that craziness. You know what I'm saying? The timing was my problem. Not that he did it, but the timing. And me and him had a conversation about that because it's like, come on. Now, the genius with that, if this was the case, because when I wrote Harlem Heroin, I didn't really know. I put my own opinion in here, but I didn't really know what happened. But I said the genius would have been to do it at that time to make it think that whoever did it to Darnell did it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would be the genius behind doing something, so sinister, as that. But it was just a coincidence and then they ended up finding them in almost the same area. But I said, you did that to that mother. He was like, you're right, T. His thing was, I wish I could take it back, but I can't. And it's just something that he had to live with. And if you look at the documentary, I think it's it may be America's Most Evil on it. I think that those episodes are on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Even the DEA said out of all the things and murders that he discussed, the Rich Porter situation hurt him. They could see it. he barely wanted to talk about it. So, he knew that he kind of messed up with that as far as again, when he did it. But, a lot of that stuff, they were young, very emotional over that money. I mean, come on. When Ace brother robbed me, I'm like, he got to go.
Yeah.
He got to go. I didn't see him till 12 years later. He's lucky. You know what I'm saying? So, you're young, you get money, somebody violates you. Back then, there was a lot going on. And
You
this
had
is
to
another
respond.
thing. My thing is, Al being in DC around a Wayne Perry, who's basically killing people allegedly for nothing. You can't go back and say this guy's taking my money and you don't do that because now you're looking soft.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would assume that he felt like he had to, you know what I'm saying, play up to that. And, he just kind of messed up with that one as far as the timing. I always say it's the timing. Him doing it, I don't have nothing to do with that because it was happening. But I just didn't like the timing, when they was trying to find his little brother.
Timing is everything on it.
Yeah.
And, obviously his time did come to an end, but when he got out, like, I'll give him his credit. Like, he was confronting a lot of people that had a lot of shit to say.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
going and, taking pictures with him and shit and all that is like, a lot of people will say a lot of shit when they don't think they ever going to be in front of somebody. But then when somebody pop up, it's amazing how that tune can change.
yeah, because he was like, he'll go, oh, Ms.Tee, guess who I just saw? Or Ms.Tee, guess who I just talked to? Everybody who was saying things at a certain time, I guess, him being away, you think he wasn't going to never run into this dude. He was everywhere. He was outside. He was really outside. And I give it up to him for standing in his truth and saying, I did what I did. I understand people not going to like it, but I did what I had to do for me. People could do what they want to do for them. I ain't bothering nobody, but don't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
Because he still was who he was.
And the thing about it, a lot of people seem to like him, like as a person. Like, a lot of people seem to like him, even people in jail.
Let me tell you something. That dude, like his personality, I I had a guy say, F him. I don't like that nigga. They ended up having a conversation because Albert Cormy was like, yo, I think that dude looked at me funny. I'm like, nah, he not like that. Somehow they got bumped into each other, had a conversation. They like, yeah, Ms.Tee, they spoke very highly of me or whatever. So the dude that was like, fuck him, he's like, yo, I don't want to like that nigga, but I like that nigga. But I knew it was coming because I'm telling you, Wade, once he got you, he got you.
Yeah.
It's just something about his personality, his aura. He just got this warm thing. Whatever they saw on Paid in Full or whatever was talked about, you're going to see and feel something totally different when you're in his presence because that's just how it is. He just got that thing, and I could see how easy it was for him to rock somebody to sleep with that too, out in DC. He'll smile, shake your hand, and he just got you, but he about to get you.
Yep.
So he used that.
Oh yeah. And that's a dangerous combination when somebody has that and they can use it like that.
Yeah.
Well, Ms.Tee, I thank you for taking us down a trip of Harlem memory lane. We wish you nothing but the best going forward. Good luck on your book, your podcast. Hopefully, we got a movie coming soon. I hope
Yes.
listeners will go out and check you out, give you a follow on social media. Check out the documentary. I'm telling y'all, I really enjoyed it. I watched it like twice just to make sure I got everything. I hope I
Right.
put some questions to you that, were a little out of the box. Obviously, a lot of stuff has been repeated, but,
That's all right.
I
It's
feel
a
like I
different
came,
audience.
yeah, different audience. And I feel like I came with some good questions. I hit you with some
Yeah.
names, some people you probably didn't think I was going to bring up. So I appreciate you coming on the show. 1,000 thank yous.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. This was good.
Well, maybe I'll check you out next time I'm up in New York. I'll give you a holler. We'll get together, have a drink.
Yeah, yeah, let me know.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am Hollywood Wade. That was Ms.Tee. And unfortunately, we are out of time. Tune in next week for an all new episode of Crime and Entertainment. Ms.Tee, thank you for stopping
Yep.
by.
All right. Take care.